ValveTime.net.
Hi, and welcome to the ValveTime news for March 26th, 2015. Each week, or 3, we bring you the biggest talking points regarding Valve and the community. We've got a lot to talk about this episode, so let's not waste any time and just run through each topic in order. Let's get started. Although far from the biggest news story to come out of GDC 2015, the official announcement of Valve's next-gen Source 2 engine on Tuesday, March 3rd definitely got people talking. Few details were revealed about the engine itself other than that Valve plans to let community content creators and developers use the engine free of charge, similarly to the recently updated Unreal Engine 4 and Unity 5. This also extends to royalties, as any developer wanting to sell their games to the public will not need to pay for the privilege so long as they at least post the game to the Steam store alongside any other physical and/or online retailers. This makes a lot of sense to us, as it means developers won't need to pay Valve for both royalties and the standard 30% publishing fee on the Steam platform. Other than that, the official press release from Valve didn't really have anything new to say about Source 2, such as a planned release date, instead focusing on reconfirming that the engine will have a large focus on quick, easy, and simple content creation and iteration, hopefully making it easy to use for community content creators and developers alike. Regardless, it was nice to finally hear someone other than Gabe Newell discuss the engine in an official capacity. While we didn't learn a whole lot of new, useful information about Source 2 from GDC, we did take a trip back in time with our latest Spotlight exclusive episode to last year's event in order to learn more about the engine and its rumored Rubikon physics engine. The existence of a new physics engine built in-house at Valve proved noticeably more important than we initially thought, as it is likely one of the main reasons Valve is able to remove any kind of charge from Source 2, as the Havoc engine used within Source 1 continues to force developers to pay substantial royalty charges for its official use all these years later. During the video, we take a close look at the Physics for Game Programmers talk from GDC 2014, examining various clues and hints left throughout the PowerPoint presentations while trying to find some larger meaning related to the possible future of the Left 4 Dead and Half-Life series. It's a 7-minute short that should hopefully shed some light on the physics engine, given how little has been discussed or talked about by the community over the past year. If you're interested in learning more, be sure to click the annotation currently on screen, or feel free to wait until the end of this episode. It may seem like we haven't really spoken about Source 2 too much in this video, but don't worry, we'll be coming back to it in a little while. As expected, Source 2 wasn't even close to being the main talking point for Valve at GDC 2015, as SteamVR and the recently announced HTC Vive easily stole the show for pretty much anyone and everyone who tried out the device at its first public showing. The HTC Vive virtual reality headset stands as the result of a collaboration between Valve and hardware manufacturer HTC, and looks to bring the state-of-the-art technology Valve have been developing for the past 3 or 4 years to mainstream audiences. The headset's current unique selling point is the room-scale experience, which uses a pair of base stations and multiple sensors on the controllers and Vive itself to track the player's movement through a space in real time while interacting with in-game objects. This innovative feature, coupled with the system's 90Hz dual-screen display running at 1200 by 1080, is reportedly good enough to create the first true feeling of presence, that is, completely fooling the brain into believing the player is physically present in the virtual world being presented. Following the first few demos, a lot, and we mean a lot, of industry professionals began to spread the word, with the likes of Tested.com and Cliff Bleszinski claiming it was unlike anything they had ever witnessed, with Cliff calling it a religious experience as well as transcendent and magical. That does sound a little extreme, so we'll definitely hold off until we've managed to try the Vive demo for ourselves, whenever that may be. The past 2 events weren't all about VR devices themselves, however, as the HTC Vive's pair of controllers and base stations were also shown off at the event for the first time, with both being used in live demos to track the size and scale of a room and to monitor the player's movement through it. After being announced in a press release prior to the GDC show floor opening for the first time, the Lighthouse technology used by the base stations was shown off for the first time to attendees. The controllers and base stations using this technology were also shown off at GDC 2015 during the VR demos and within glass cases at Valve's booth. Both controllers appear similar to baseless joysticks with larger hexagonal tops covered in sensors and a few buttons. The base stations appear as small, mostly featureless black boxes with one side dedicated to shooting out the much-needed lasers. While discussing the controllers, Valve engineers mentioned they were originally developed by essentially cutting a Steam controller in half to see how it worked. While currently wired only, Valve mentioned the final consumer-ready version will feature wireless controllers, letting the player freely move around by the 15-foot by 15-foot space more easily. The HTC Vive and its peripherals will likely be ready sometime in November or December, as announced during the headset's reveal about a month ago. While the HTC Vive and SteamVR were both shown off with a variety of demos from various companies, the big showstopper about which everyone spoke extremely highly was a Valve-made gameplay sequence taking place within the world of Portal and Portal 2. The demo takes place in a small room inside Aperture Science, where the player was reportedly asked to search for drawers, open an industrial door, and eventually look into Atlas's chassis in an attempt to repair him. The lighting and extremely high-fidelity models and animations on display made it seem as if the demo was running on the recently announced Source 2 engine, which was later confirmed to us by Valve programmer Joe Ludwig. The minute or so demo footage that has made it onto the internet looks extremely impressive, and we really can't wait to get our hands on it at some point, especially given the industry's overwhelmingly positive reaction to it and its feeling of presence. After one of two testers began claiming the demo was secretly a sequel to Portal 2, Doug Lombardi later confirmed the experience was just a demo and has nothing to do with the possibility of a Portal 3 game, thankfully. During interviews elsewhere at GDC, Valve engineers mentioned game designers within the studio were using a multitude of the company's assets from existing game series, including Half-Life, Portal, and Left 4 Dead, in order to try and see what fits or what works well, but that doesn't mean any actual games set in any of those universes are being actively planned or developed. It's all experimentation. That aside, it's interesting to note that the Portal demo and all the third-party games being shown off all feature the same functionality, which is likely being provided by the SteamVR API. Should a player walk too close to a real-world wall or object while playing any of the showcase games with the Vive on, a holographic transparent wall will slowly appear in front of them, warning of a potential collision. It's small yet important features like this that make VR and the concept of moving around a virtual space using the room-scale experience that much easier and more accessible. Nick and Glenn were looking forward to trying out the headset for themselves at EGX Rezzed in London last Friday, March 13th, as Valve's Chet was demoing the HTC Vive exclusively to game developers last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, but he unfortunately wouldn't make an exception this time around. Regardless, Nick and Glenn still managed to get near front row seats at his Virtual Reality in 2015 talk on Friday, which featured Chet recapping the history of VR within Valve while talking to the developers of Skyworld and Surgeon Simulator about the various challenges they have had to overcome while porting their games to the Vive. While it wasn't live streamed as originally planned, the full talk is currently available on YouTube should you want to take a look. What isn't on YouTube, however, was a short informal question and answer session afterwards, which saw Chet talk with a small number of fans beside the stage, including Nick and Glenn. A number of different questions were asked over a short 10 to 15 minute period, these including asking when Valve is looking to bring VR-focused games to Source 2, with Chet's answer summarized as, "It'll be a while," questioning the 30-man VR team within Valve itself and whether or not smaller game design teams are working on VR-only games set for release in the future, with Chet responding, "We'll see. Sometimes little things become big things, so we'll see." A little while later, Chet actually corrected himself by calling the Atlas VR demo an Aperture demo, not a Portal one, before laughing off the recent rumors regarding the possibility of a sequel, meaning we thankfully won't see Portal 3 anytime soon, if ever. Feel free to ask why Nick decided to use the word thankfully in the comments below, and I'm pretty sure he'll respond. The HTC Vive and SteamVR were far from the only Steam Universe devices shown off at the event, however, as the final design of the Steam controller also made its expected debut. The design, as speculated, features an analog stick, the new D-pad design over the left touchpad, and its possibly final finish. Like most of the Steam Universe hardware, which we'll move on to in a moment, the Steam controller is currently set to release for the first time in November 2015, with the controller itself retailing in the United States for $50. Release dates and prices for territories outside of the United States have yet to be announced, but we'll likely hear more as the launch grows near. The Steam controller will also be available as part of a brand new bundle announced prior to the start of GDC 2015, which will feature the aforementioned controller alongside the Steam Link. The Steam Link stands as a new, extremely small device designed as a dedicated receiver hub for in-home streaming, allowing users to wirelessly stream games from elsewhere in their home at 1080p and 60 FPS without the need of an additional PC such as a Steam machine. The Link will be sold for $50 at launch or for $100 as part of the aforementioned Steam controller bundle, giving you pretty much everything you need to get started with living room PC gaming. While Steam Link may make Steam machines seem a little less necessary, the custom-designed PCs running SteamOS still had a big presence at the event. In total, the 15 currently planned Steam machines were shown off in glass cases at the event, with the Alienware and Falcon Northwest devices being previewed by Gabe Newell and several others in the Valve booth. It's true that the Steam machines are essentially regular PCs, but it was interesting to learn more about the varied specifications and price points we can expect to see from the project, especially given that Valve showcased the Falcon Northwest device in particular by running the new Unreal Tournament at 4K and 60 FPS, which isn't half bad to say the least, even if that one machine does retail for a minimum of $2,000. With seemingly all of Steam Universe hardware out in the public eye, a new page was released onto Steam listing all the currently planned Steam machines as shown here. The pre-existing Steam Universe website also updated to provide a clear, easily readable hub with information on all of the devices, including the Steam controller, HTC Vive, Steam machines, and Steam Link. We strongly recommend heading on over to the newly revamped Universe page if you're looking for more details regarding each and every one of the Steam hardware devices and what Valve has planned for them. As usual, Valve's GDC presence also included a total of 4 talks by Valve's staff, with each focusing on providing fellow game developers with information or insight regarding a specialist subject. As we foretold many months ago, the 4 talks provided basically no information whatsoever about any new games Valve may or may not be working on. What little we did get revolved around Source 2, including one of the 2 physics for game programmers, revealing the 4 kinds of collision shapes supported within the Rubikon physics engine we mentioned earlier, including spheres, capsules, convex hulls, and triangle meshes. The rest of the information to come out of the talks isn't of any real use to anyone outside of the specialist fields, that is, other than the Kronos group talk on Thursday the 5th of March. During the talk, a short demonstration of Dota 2 running on the Source 2 engine was shown off while demonstrating how Source 2 natively supports new cross-platform graphical API Vulkan, the newly renamed form of OpenGL Next. As expected, the only game-focused portion of the presentation focused on demonstrating how much more efficient the ported Source 2 version of Dota 2 is over the current Source 1 only version. This was showcased by spawning legions of creeps for both Radiant and Dire, who then battled it out in the mid lane, proving just how much more the new engine can handle when compared to a version running on 15-year-old technology. While it'll definitely prove more interesting in the future, it was hardly the big explosive game reveal that so many Valve fans were hoping for or expecting. Regardless, videos of the Vulkan talk are already available alongside PDFs for all of Valve's GDC talks, which you can access over on Valve's publications page. But wait, there's more from GDC 2015. While news has slowed in the past week or so, video game journalist Geoff Keighley recently announced his new podcast interview series, which he debuted with a special talk with Gabe Newell and Erik Johnson recorded during GDC a few weeks ago. The hour-long talk focuses on a number of different topics regarding where the pair believe Valve may go next, while also discussing several of the design focuses of Source 2, or how they think virtual reality technology may advance in the future. The talk also brings us some minor new information about other less spoken about topics, such as revealing Ken Birdwell was obsessively in charge of the Stars of Blood project years ago before Gabe had an intervention and pulled the plug, and talking about where Gabe keeps his chocolate chip cookie recipe, of course. As usual, we'll have included a link to the podcast in the video description below should you want to check it out. These past few weeks weren't entirely focused on new announcements from GDC 2015, however, as the usual weekly updates for Counter-Strike Global Offensive and Dota 2 introduced some minor new features. For CSGO, an update focused on the introduction of new tournament and UI functionality in order to improve the spectator experience ahead of ESL 1 Katowice 2015, which took place last weekend. The event concluded with an extremely exciting grand final between Ninjas in Pajamas and Fnatic, with Fnatic coming out on top and showing the world how CSGO is really played. The game improvements themselves included multiple changes to how spectators and casters can draw on the overview map and the addition of a round history display for the scoreboard during competitive matches. Following the end of the New Bloom Brawl event a few weeks back, most of Dota 2's recent patches have changed focus and more closely targeted a number of pathfinding issues, with Valve going into some detail regarding a recent fix in a blog post titled Various Pathfinding Fixes. The blog post discusses how Valve were able to find the extremely rare pathfinding issue, which was recently discovered thanks to its unfortunate cropping up during a competitive match between Alliance and Ninjas in Pajamas as part of the esports Dota 2 League. We won't really go into the specifics of the blog post here, but feel free to head on over and check it out if you're interested in learning more about its discovery and subsequent removal. More interestingly, however, was the recent reveal of Faceless Void's model rework as voted for by last year's International Compendium. A new blog post released this past Tuesday revealed how Valve didn't feel particularly comfortable drastically altering Void's design, given how negatively the community may react, so they instead decided to simply replace his model with a higher quality version with numerous new details, including tattoos and bracers and new hero icons and a portrait. The blog post also humorously shows off a few early concept designs for the character rework, which include a hyper-attractive elf, a T-Rex, a lobster, whatever the hell this is, and Faceful Void, which, is a thing that exists. The updated model is now available in the main game, so be sure to check it out the next time you feel like picking Faceless Void. The model was also released alongside the brand new Treasure of the Forgotten Myth, which contains 6 new item sets for various heroes. This past week also saw Valve announce more details regarding the fast-approaching International 2015 tournament for Dota 2 set to take place from August 3rd through the 8th. Tickets for the main event at Key Arena in Seattle will go on sale at 2 intervals Friday, March 27, 2015, providing users 2 opportunities to snag passes for the event across a 12-hour period. Unlike previous years, no VIP tickets will be sold, instead likely being given away by Valve to select individuals. This means all tickets will be made available at the Ticketmaster website for $99, and all tickets will provide access to the entire event across 6 days in August. It's no secret that Dota 2 is a pretty popular game in a huge number of countries across the globe, so Valve have provided a list of 8 total time zones and when the 2 batches of tickets will begin being sold. Each of the sales times will be listed on screen as you hear my voice, so be sure to check your respective region if you're interested in grabbing some tickets. If previous years are anything to go by, it'll be a pretty mad rush, which you may want to be prepared for ahead of time if you want to have a chance of securing some tickets. After nearly a month of silence from the Team Fortress 2 team, these past 2 weeks finally saw the arrival of a brand new blog post, 2 new updates, and several interesting features. The blog post released on March 12th, shown here, announced the release of custom taunt support for the Steam Workshop, a feature promised a long time ago. This means content creators can now upload their own custom taunts to the Steam Workshop in the hopes of having them officially added to the game. To celebrate, 3 new taunts were released into the Manco store, while also being shown off in a new short video, which include the Boston Breakdance for the Scout, and the Killer Solo and Most Wanted taunts for the Sniper. That wasn't all, however, as the Manpower Beta game mode also received some significant changes, most importantly in the form of CTF Thunder Mountain, a new Capture the Flag variant of Thunder Mountain's first payload stage. It would appear this new version of Thunder Mountain, which is restricted to manpower only, is the first real map to focus much of its gameplay around the game mode exclusive grappling hook, forcing players to use it to reach a number of ledges and flags themselves, which are held over a cliff on a precarious looking platform. New power-ups were also added, including Knockout, which turns players into melee-only tanks with significantly higher health and damage to buildings, and Revenge, which temporarily activates when a significant team imbalance is detected, providing the losing side with the chance to catch up with extra critical hits, higher fire rate, and increased clip size. A second update released this past week focused on refining many features introduced the previous week, including fixing bugs in Thunder Mountain, rebalancing several power-ups, and more, which you can read more about over on the update changelog should you want more information. After multiple delays, it was revealed this past week that March 24th, 2015 will finally see Valve implement the New Zealand dollar onto the Steam store for the first time. There's no information regarding when the also delayed Korean won or Australian dollars will be added, but this minor improvement is likely a pretty big deal for those of you over in Kiwi land, so enjoy! While there was no official Half-Life news these past 3 weeks, just as we foresaw, we did decide to show off a new mod for Half-Life 1 brought to us by a community member and developer, 4Grain. The mod, which is currently available for download on ModDB, provides full English subtitle support for the original Half-Life for the first time ever, making it easier to understand exactly what is being said and when. We imagine this could prove extremely useful for the hearing impaired, those who may not speak English as a native language, or those just wanting to go back and search for tidbits they may have missed. A link to the mod will be provided in the video description should you want to take a look. And that just about covers everything. There's an absolutely enormous amount of entertaining and informative videos we could have linked to you at the end of this episode, so we've carefully cherry-picked our favorites and left the rest as links in the video description should you want to learn more. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and to check out the recent conversations over on the ValveTime.net community forums. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.